So it's an interesting time for Doctor Who at the moment because we've sort of got two incumbent doctors at once, which isn't something that's happened in the shows past before. Usually there's always been one incumbent doctor, maybe another one waiting in the wings, before the regeneration takes place. But yeah, at the moment we've got technically David Tennant as the 14th Doctor. He's technically the incumbent doctor at the moment for the 60th anniversary year. And then we've also got Ncuti Gatwa as the incoming 15th Doctor, who is of course making his full debut at the end of the year in the festive Christmas special, whatever. And of course originally we did think he was going to be Jodie Whittaker's replacement. Now we know it's not quite that simple, and we've got David Tennant here instead in the interim, as a sort of interim transitional Doctor, like I say, for the anniversary year. And in this video I kind of wanted to just kind of reflect on where we're at so far with the 14th Doctor and his era, because like I say, his era is essentially only going to last for 12, 13 months, from October 2022 to the November specials of this year, and then that's it for him. And depending on how things go on TV in terms of how much flexibility there is, how many gaps there are either within stories or between stories, to kind of fill in those gaps and have stuff in the expanded media in years to come, further adventures with the 14th Doctor, he may actually end up being one of the more limited Doctors in terms of the adventures that you can tell, with him beyond the TV episodes themselves. And I think it's possible that we might end up looking back at him in a similar way to how we look back at Doctors, like Joe Martin's or John Hurt's or latterly, Paul McGann's Doctor. Obviously he's had so much extra stuff, extra adventures in the books, in Big Finish, audio dramas, whatever. But obviously just that one full episode on TV, he was only the Doctor for that year or for that one night only. And yeah, it's kind of a similar sort of thing with David Tennant, potentially, like I say, depending on how much space there is, how much potential there is for other adventures within those episodes. I mean, it's an interesting one because we are essentially 4 months into this Doctor's era, like I say, out of the 12, 13 months that it's going to last for, and then we're going to be on to Ncuti, and he's going to be the Doctor after that, and presumably the 14th Doctor, will be no more. So I think it's interesting to kind of reflect on how things are going so far. And I do think that, when David Tennant was announced officially as the 14th Doctor last October, I kind of felt like there'd be a bit more stuff going on by this point, right? And it is still early days. The anniversary itself is in November. The TV episodes will be airing in November. I'm sure that, come November, October, September, August, whatever, I'm sure things will ramp up there. But yeah, beyond the Doctor Who magazine Liberation of the Daleks comic, which is ongoing, and basically, if you don't know, is kind of filling the gap between the end of the Paradoctor and the start of the 60th specials, kind of telling us all about what the 14th Doctor got up to next, this adventure, spoiler, with the Daleks, and there's some fantastic stuff going on in that comic. Really, really great stuff. You don't have to read it to understand the specials or anything, but it is nevertheless a great thing to have to tide us over. But beyond that, what have we had so far in terms of 14th Doctor content or stories or merchandise or whatever? Because, so far, I guess it is just that and the TV episodes in terms of stories. Like I say, there may be potential in the future to do Big Finish stuff or spin-off, stories, whatever, in other mediums. It remains to be seen. We've had the action figure, I suppose. We've had a couple of Doctor Who magazine covers, but sort of beyond that, it's gone quite quiet. And there is something coming up in the next week or so, potentially, which I will talk about later in the video, which might change that and kind of get things ramping up a gear a bit. But suddenly, kind of, yeah, between October and now, it does kind of feel like it's a bit of a shame they haven't kind of played on it more and had David Tennant, making personal appearances or doing interviews or whatever, like other, traditional Doctors might have done during their tenures. And yeah, it's a difficult one, because obviously his era hasn't really got going yet. He's not really been given much of a chance, and he's not really going to get given much of a chance, I suppose, because if he were any other Doctor, this kind of equivalent period would be the run-up to their first full episode, their first full series, and then there would be all the time after that for them to do subsequent episodes, subsequent seasons, to have subsequent, spin-off media, merchandise, whatever. Whereas Whereas because his Doctor's only got this 1 year, it's kind of all kind of squashed together. And because I kind of feel again, like I say, that Ncuti Gatwa is kind of going to be the flavour of the month, basically, as soon as he's first appeared in the 60th specials, whatever, towards the end of them at Christmas, whenever he actually appears, I feel like it's going to be a quick switch there, and David Tennant's going to get pushed aside, and that's very much going to be it for his Doctor and his era. So while it is great to have him back, I do kind of feel like it's a bit of a shame that, so far at least, there hasn't been more going on, but obviously that may change. It will change, I suppose, within the coming months as we get closer to the 60th itself. One thing we have coming up, like I say, in just over a week now at the time of recording, is Comic Relief, the annual telethon in the UK, shown on BBC One, whatever, and I'm sure the skits and stuff are always available to watch on YouTube in other countries and things like that. But yeah, that happens every year. Doctor Who has occasionally appeared on it in the past. I think probably most prominently with the 2011 minisode Space and Time, featuring the 11th Doctor, Amy and Rory. 2 little episodes there, which kind of revolved around a little paradoxy thing going on inside the TARDIS, and that was great fun. And it looks like there may well be some opportunities for further Doctor Who content as part of Comic Relief this year, and not least because David Tennant himself, the Doctor, is hosting. So, first of all, that in itself is a great opportunity, and we've got some promo pics released in the past few days which show him wearing the 14th Doctor costume alongside Lenny Henry, who obviously was involved in founding the charity of Comic Relief, and I believe will be part of the telethon himself as well. So might we see David Tennant kind of presenting some or all of the show in his 14th Doctor costume? Maybe some of it in character as the Doctor, that would be great to see. And might we see some kind of special skit or minisode or a little bit of bonus content as part of the telethon? It remains to be seen, it's not been officially confirmed, but these pictures would certainly seem to imply that we might be getting something or other, beyond the pictures themselves. So we can only hope there's going to be something on the night. We've just got to wait and see, I suppose. But going back to the point of the video, I think another thing that's worth saying, obviously, as well, is that we have got Ncuti Gatwa kind of waiting in the wings. It's almost like he is the Doctor, but not quite yet the Doctor, because he has been appearing in a lot of the promotional stuff, like the little video they made for Disney Plus, where he's kind of introducing the show to new viewers, or the video with Millie when she was announced, things like that. Yes, I guess it must be said as well that, he himself has not been publicly on set all that much either, so neither of these 2 Doctors have been particularly, present, so to speak. But yeah, I think that kind of plays into it as well, this kind of strange situation we've got here where we've got Ncuti kind of waiting in the wings, where neither Doctor is kind of really the incumbent. It's kind of a bit of both, even though, the 14th Doctor is technically the incumbent. It's his era, technically speaking, but we've got Ncuti as well, so it's very much kind of a shared thing between them. And yeah, I think, regrettably, really, kind of the 14th Doctor, it is kind of falling under his shadow a little bit as well, which is a bit of a shame, but, I suppose what can you do with that? I'll have to wait and see how it kind of transpires on screen, because we don't know whether they're going to meet, whether Ncuti's going to be in the 14th Doctor's episodes all that much, and how big a role David Tennant is really going to have as this Doctor, because we've been told that he is, a proper incarnation like all the rest, and not like a trick or a trap or anything like that. We've been told basically that he does count, much like Joe Martin's Doctor or John Hurt's or whatever. It's not a gimmick, it's not a game, it's not a trick. So yeah, and basically we've got to kind of wait and see how all that goes, really. But I think my hope certainly would be that, perhaps beginning with Comic Relief, or maybe a bit later on into the year, we do get more 14th Doctor content coming our way, more 14th Doctor merchandise as well would be great to see, more figure variants, or I don't even know, just more Doctor Who magazine covers, more t-shirts, more whatever, key rings, whatever you like, really. Just all that stuff that we've had for previous Doctors. It would be a shame if he kind of got overlooked just because he is the Doctor for only a year. And yeah, that kind of feels like a strange thing to be saying about David Tennant, because he's been very present just himself in Doctor Who ever since he left, really, in terms of merchandise and stuff. He's been in stuff with Jodie in the comics, Time of Victorious. He's been very present in all that stuff, but now that he's actually the Doctor again, it kind of weirdly feels like we're seeing less of him than we did in other Doctor's eras. I don't know. Let me know all your thoughts on this in the comments below, because it'd be really interesting to kind of see what other people think of this. Whether you think we're not getting enough David Tennant at the moment, or we're getting too much, or whatever. I don't know. It's a massive kind of discussion, a massive debate to be had. Personally, like I say, I think it's a bit of a shame that we haven't had more 14th Doctor stuff specifically so far, and it'd be great to have more of that, before his era comes to an end in 6, 7, 8 months. But be sure to let me know your thoughts on all of it down in the comments below. It'll be great to get a dialogue going and see what everybody else thinks. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new for more stuff like this in the future. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.